reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. A lot to get to, a lot to go over today. And we appreciate you being a part of the program. Yes, we are a part of the Occupy Democrats Network. YouTube page at PTL Radio Show, pushingthelimits.live. And we're back on the Occupy X page. We've had some technical issues with their Facebook page, but we're also on the Proud Democrats page, which is owned by Occupy Democrats, and we're still working on that Facebook page. We'll give you an update on that. But we're on all the other Occupy platforms, by the way, as I mentioned earlier, and the Occupy X page as well. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go to our guest here in a moment. Obviously, a lot of breaking news, including the fact that some Teslas were set on fire here in Las Vegas. It actually turned into a national story. My question is, if you think those people are terrorists that did that, then why aren't you using the same terminologies for the people that Donald Trump pardoned on January 6th? I'm just throwing that out there. We will get to that. I also got into a heated debate, and I embarrassed a guy by the name of Jonathan Munafo, who beat police officers on January 6th. And he pled guilty to 2 felony charges of assaulting and resisting. I got into it with him on social media. We have the audio of it. We're going to play it for you coming up here at the bottom of the hour. You're not going to want to miss this. Chief Justice John Roberts back on President Donald Trump, rhetoric on judges. It's a little bit too late, Chief Justice, because you're the one who voted to give Donald Trump immunity. What the hell did you think he was going to do? Also, Vladimir Putin speaking with Donald Trump for about 2 hours today. We'll get to that as well. So, wow, there's a lot to get to today. And I said to myself, what better person to talk to about all this than my friend, the former Republican chair here in the great state of Nevada, Amy Tarkanian, joining us right now on the program. Hi, Amy. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Amy, there's a lot to talk about today. I want to start off by just asking you about Chief Justice John Roberts, because he pushed back on Trump. Because, as you know, Donald Trump is escalating his rhetoric on these federal judiciaries because he doesn't like their rulings, in this case, immigration. So Chief Justice is going after Trump on this, not even really going after him, just disagreeing with him. My point is, well, maybe you shouldn't have given him immunity then. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, that's an excellent point. But I do think the fact that this administration is very forceful in their messaging and saying that if you come across illegally, you will be deported immediately, especially if you're somebody who is, a criminal. And so, that I think is great. But from what I understand is, the judge is actually asking for some records, for some logs, and the White House has not turned those over. So why not just turn them over if you're ready to move forward with continuing, this type of deportation process. I think, the majority of the people who did vote for Trump were excited to deal with illegal immigration in this manner. And so, yes, the president was put back into his seat. This was one of the hot issues, but for him to then go out and say, hey, look, judge, you should be impeached because you're asking too many questions that I don't like, that's not acceptable. And so,
Agreed.
that's where, and that's where he starts to lose credibility in this area.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm wondering, Amy, I think we both agree, and I think most of America agrees. If you're a violent criminal that happens to be undocumented, we don't want you here. I think that's a very fair point that a lot of people make, and I agree with that. I'm on that side, but I don't want to live in a country, Amy, where ICE is going into synagogues and churches and schools and deporting people that are nonviolent criminals that have been here for decades, some of whom actually do pay taxes. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, supposedly the Secretary of State has already put a statement out saying that they knew exactly each person, what their rap sheet was that they put on these airplanes. And so these weren't just random people that they rallied up and said, okay, let's put you on a plane and say sayonara. These are people that they absolutely knew without the shadow of a doubt were criminals and were very dangerous, especially to American citizens. And so, that I'm okay with. I think that's great. But the problem is I guess the paperwork, the questioning of the timing. When did the airplanes take off? I guess a couple of them were already in the air in international space when this judge made the question. But then there was also, from what I understand, another plane though that took off after the judge had
Right.
already made this question. And that's where I think they're going to get themselves into hot water.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't want to see, undocumented immigrants that have been here for decades with children and families deported that are nonviolent criminals. That's just there has to be some sort of pathway to citizenship for many of these people that do contribute much so to our economy and to society. So we'll wait and see how that goes. So Amy, in
Well,
general
and
terms,
and then
yeah, go ahead.
did you see too today that they issued an app? They have an app now out there where if you are undocumented, if you are illegal, whichever you want to call it, you can actually self-deport. So then that way they don't come in and forcefully deport you. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I don't see many people doing that, especially those that have families that want to stay here. But we'll wait and
Well,
see
I
how.
guess their hope is that if you do participate in this and you are undocumented, then you're welcome back to then do the correct way. If you don't and you're forcefully deported, you are not welcome back to do it, quote unquote, the correct way.
Right. The correct way. My problem with the correct way is that sometimes it takes 10 to 15 years, and it doesn't
Yeah,
seem
that's
like
true.
MAGA Republicans want to do anything about that and make it a little bit easier for
Yeah,
people that do come here the right way. And that's my issue with that.
and it's
So
expensive.
right, exactly. That's my
Hmm.
main issue with that. So I think this app is, in my opinion, is a complete waste of time. Big news today: Vladimir Putin speaking with Donald Trump for about 2 hours. And while we don't know what was said in that phone call, I don't know if we ever will know. What do you make of the fact that Donald Trump has called Vladimir Zelensky a dictator in the last month? He said that Ukraine started this, among other
Hmm.
things. And it doesn't appear to me that Russia is going to be giving up any concessions at all. What do you make of this situation?
So first of all, I found it humorous that the call was supposed to start much earlier, and Vladimir Putin was in the middle of giving a speech in some conference, and so he actually made Donald Trump wait. And so that to me right there is a power move. So now you've got these two very narcissistic, egotistical, leaders of these powerful nations that are, playing with each other, so to speak, playing off of each other, and also trying to put out to the world that they're able to work together. But yet, I still feel that there's a pull, between the two of them, a power struggle. And so once that call actually did take place, I have a tough time believing anything that comes out of Putin's mouth, to be honest. And I think the fact that Donald Trump called Zelensky a dictator was atrocious. This is supposed to be an ally of ours. And, the fact that, they asked the Ukrainians to de-arm, and then we promised that NATO and America would come in and back them if Russia were to come in and try to steamroll them once again. And now we're saying, oh, wait, just kidding. Yeah, I think this is really bad. I don't agree with it at all.
I agree with you, Amy. Here's my prediction on what I think happened in this phone call and what's going to happen. I believe Donald Trump is looking for a way to again blame Zelensky if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire. And I think they're
Yeah.
both planning that. And that's what I think this was about. Russia's not giving up any concessions. They're going to be
Mm-mm.
eventually probably taking over land that does not belong to them. And Ukraine's not going to be entering NATO. And you're basically, when I say you, I mean Trump, is basically going to be rewarding Vladimir Putin for invading our allies. And then it's so dangerous to me because then who's he going to invade next? Is it going to be
Right.
Taiwan? Is it going to be Poland? And that's why listen, there are a group, and I know you're not in this group, but there are Republicans in this country that are not willing to say they want Ukraine to win. I find that to be so troubling and so disgusting, Amy. I really do.
Yeah. No, and I agree. And unfortunately, I think it's because of the amount of money that has gone unaccounted for that we have actually given to the Ukrainian government. And Zelensky himself has actually said on the record he has not seen everything. Not all of the weapons that were supposedly sent over, not all of the funding that was supposedly sent over. And we know that many governments are corrupt, including Ukraine's. So I guess who are the powers that be behind Zelensky that are mishandling or purposefully handling this, incorrectly, to maybe support themselves? I don't know that answer, but I still think in the end, the fact that we made these promises, and not just through this, not through the Trump administration, but these promises have been made through, Biden administration, Obama administration, multiple administrations. And then for us to now say, I think we're going to kind of take a seat back and just see how things play out. I think this is really dangerous.
I agree with you. It is very dangerous. While there's corruption in any government, for Trump to say that Ukraine started this and calling him a dictator when he's said nothing even close to that when it comes to Putin, I think is utterly despicable. If you're just joining us, Amy Tarkanian, the former chair of the Nevada Republican Party. Okay, Amy, so first 8 weeks of this administration, what has he done well? You're a staunch conservative. You've been a Republican your whole life. So surely I'm sure you could name some things that you do like under Donald Trump. There's not many that I can name, but what do you think he's done? What do you think he's done well? Like, what would you praise him for in the first 2 months? Oh, whoops, sorry about that.
Well, I think no matter your party affiliation, you can actually pat him on the back for being expeditious with his cabinet picks and making sure that he laid the groundwork ahead of time to make sure that they were confirmed in a timely manner. So whether if you agree with his picks or not, he was able to at least get them all through. So, that was pretty impressive. And the fact that now those confirmation picks, they hit the ground running within 24 hours, all of them, it seems. And so, that was pretty impressive. The fact that you have a president that said, hey, enough is enough. We're not going to be taken advantage of anymore. We're going to try to also level the playing field when it comes to tariffs. I know a lot of Republicans are really weary about the tariff situation, but I think there comes a time where you can't just sit there and continue the road that we're going down. And I do agree with the fact that this is going to be it's going to be a little bit painful for a little bit of time, but he does want to bring most of the manufacturing, if not all, to America. So then that way it creates American jobs and we're using American products. And in that way, we're not having to rely so heavy on superpowers like China for, when it comes to steel or pharmaceuticals. And so, that I think is great. I also agree with the fact that he, put Tom Homan on the ground. I think this guy, he has served under not just Republicans, he's served under Democrats as well. And this guy knows what he's talking about. He's no nonsense. You may not like his tactics, but he's done. He's fed up. He was really upset with the way that the Biden administration just took a seat back when it came to illegal immigration crossings. And so now this guy has a fire lit under him, and you've got now an administration that immediately put more eyes and ears and feet on the ground on the northern and the southern border. And I think that's wonderful. So I love those.
Yeah, a lot to dissect there. I would say with the tariffs in the history of this country, have any tariffs even close to this ever worked? Has there ever been anything positive out of anybody that's ever done anything like this before? I guess with the tariff thing, that would be my question to you. Has this ever happened before in this country where it worked?
Well, I mean, I think the fact that we've let it go for too long, how would we know? Unless we start to hack away right back at it, we do need to turn some things around. Now, do we need to do it as extreme as what he has said? Do we need to put 25%? Do we need to put 20%? I mean, that is pretty high. Maybe you take it in baby steps. I don't know that answer. I just know that.
But he's not doing that. That's the problem. He's not doing that. And Amy, I guess my biggest criticism is we didn't get anything from Canada. We got a fentanyl czar. Less than 1% of the fentanyl illegally in this country is from Canada. Trudeau said he was going to put $2.1 billion towards border security. He said that in December he was going to implement that under Joe Biden. And then the Mexican president, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she said that she was going to put 10,000 troops at the border when on average there were 15,000 troops at the border under Joe Biden. So Donald Trump is, this hurts the American consumer. Now, I know you had said there's going to be some short-term pain. There's
Yeah.
definitely going to be some pain. I don't know if it's going to be short-term. It could take decades to recover from this. What I know is the Dow was just down 900 points the other day. What I know is that inflation is headed in the wrong direction. Gas prices headed in the wrong direction. The war is not over in 24 hours. I just think there were a lot of false promises that were not kept, just like back in 2016. I'm going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. I'm going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. I just feel like it's all over again. The same thing, promises that are not fulfilled.
Well, let's take inflation out of everything that you just mentioned.
Mhm.
Obviously, this is something that doesn't just happen overnight. Did it happen during Trump, 1.0? Yes, it did, because he was the one that was president during COVID. And so, in order to try to get the economy back up and running, they did pump in some more money. And when you are printing more money than you actually have product, then of course you're going to see inflation. And so, but that was necessary in order to get us back on track after 2 years of being stuck indoors. Now,
Mhm.
then you had President Biden. President Biden did the America Recovery Act. There was no reason for him to do that except for just to basically dangle a carrot and make people feel good about his administration. And so, you take Douglas County, for example, which my husband is a county commissioner of, very small county in northern Nevada. They were granted $9.2 million. That's ludicrous. There's no reason for Douglas County to have $9.2 million granted from the government. And the big kicker is it doesn't even have to be spent until the end of this year. So this is something that we're going to see, take a ripple effect for years to be
Mhm.
able to level out.
And
And,
listen,
and so
yeah,
so,
I'm sorry. I
so
didn't mean to
basically, in a nutshell, it doesn't happen overnight. So when people say, "Oh, President Trump, you've been in for 8 weeks. How come you haven't fixed it?" You can't do that overnight. It's literally an accumulation of administrations, what was going on during that time period, and it takes years, if not decades, to fix.
So Amy, for the most part, I agree with that. But the reason why I bring it up is because Donald Trump is the guy that campaigned on, we're going to do this on day one. We're going to end the war in
Sure.
24 hours. He made all these promises, and they're the ones that are talking about all this fraud that they found with Doge. As Trump
Hmm.
has said, and by the way, no evidence, they've saved hundreds of billions of dollars. By the way, 7 trillion in debt, but they're claiming they saved hundreds of billions of dollars with fraud. And Amy, last I checked, fraud is a crime in the United States of America.
Right.
Nobody's been arrested. Nobody's been prosecuted. They haven't deferred any names to any prosecutors. They haven't given any names. They haven't shown any real evidence. So my
Yeah.
problem is, while I agree with you, as a whole, it will take time. And even though I disagree with what they're doing, with that being said, they're the ones that are saying they're getting all this stuff done, and they're lying, and they're not showing any evidence that they've gotten it done. They just keep
Yeah.
claiming that, oh, well, we found all this fraud. We found all that fraud.
Well, no, and I've actually come across some Republicans who have posted on social media their frustration with Attorney General Pam Bondi because there hasn't been, any arrests. You just stated, fraud is a crime. So where's the criminals? Bring them forth. Let us know, who are they? What's
I would
going
say the
on?
commander. I would say the commander in chief to start. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amy. I apologize.
Ah. uh, so I think there is a little bit of a growing frustration out there. Doge is also saying, okay, we're going to eliminate positions that really are non-essential, so that way we can also save money. Because any business, any well-ran business, whether if it be a small business or a larger company, if you're somebody who, the position really isn't necessary, and you have somebody who can do the work of two people, of course, most well-ran businesses will then remove that position. And so
Mhm.
that's another thing, though, I think Doge has done well. I think maybe they've, done it a little too extreme at first. Maybe should have taken a little bit of time to see, really who's essential and who's non-essential, instead of just doing it clean slate. But that is necessary, I think, to some extent. But yes, the fraud thing, that's definitely, I think, a growing frustration.
What I don't want to see is I don't want to see veterans, those working in the government that have done their job and done it well, fired for no reason. I don't want to see all these
Right.
people losing their jobs. You know, I use the term, Amy, hypocrisy a lot. And listen, I'm not saying the left doesn't do it as well. But today in Las Vegas, you lived here for years with your family. There were several Tesla vehicles that were lit on fire. Obviously, I don't condone that behavior. Neither do you.
Mm-mm.
And you know, people should be brought to justice. That's inexcusable to be doing that because you disagree with Elon's politics or Donald Trump's politics. But with that being said, there's a lot of people on the right today, some imbeciles that I've called out on social media, which is a daily thing for me, I think. But
Yes, it is.
but they're calling these people who are doing this to the Tesla vehicles disgusting, repugnant, terrorists. And I say to myself, okay, so in MAGA world, if you light a Tesla vehicle on fire, which by the way, I don't condone, but in the MAGA world, if you light a Tesla vehicle on fire, you're a terrorist. But if you beat police officers on January 6th, you're a patriot. Help me understand that, Amy. And I know you haven't made those statements, but
No.
help me understand some of these MAGA Republicans that are making those claims today, because I think they're, at a minimum, they're hypocrites and they're morons. Don't call out crime for people that light vehicles on fire when you call people who beat cops patriots.
Okay, first of all, this is the first I've heard of this story. So, were these Teslas, did they
Yeah,
belong to the people?
I
So
believe
it's their
I
own?
believe it was at a dealership. I believe I could be wrong on that, but I believe, yeah, my producers tell me it was at a dealership.
Okay, but the actual owners of the cars themselves lit their own car on fire?
No, 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 no. What police are
Oh,
saying is, yeah, this was an intentional arson. This was a criminal act. Yeah,
oh.
yeah,
Well, I
which I
mean,
don't condone.
yeah, then they should probably go to jail. I mean, that's destruction of property. Yes, I agree. They should go to jail. If it was their own Tesla, I'd say, well, you're a big dummy and you wasted all that money, but it's not. So, but there are, other people out there. You see stories where they are donating their Teslas because they're upset with Elon, or they're giving them away, or returning them or whatever. But yes, if you are, destructing property, then yes, I think you should go to jail. I was not happy with January 6th. I think there were a number of people who got, lost in the shuffle, maybe got carried away with the energy, I guess you would call it. And that's unfortunate. But you did have people who did, they injured individuals, they injured, police officers, they injured people who were just managing, and overseeing just everyday, people that were in attendance. You had destruction of property. And so, those individuals, I believe wholeheartedly, should also be in jail.
So, Amy, we agree on that, right? And I think
Yeah.
you get the point that I'm trying to make is if people want to call others domestic terrorists for lighting Tesla cars on fire, then you can't call people who beat police officers on January 6th patriots and hostages. That's what the words
Right.
that Donald Trump used and many of his, knee pad wearing supporters, for lack of a better term. So I don't want to hear from people who think that January 6th violent criminals should be pardoned, but let's give the electric chair to people who light Tesla vehicles on fire. Don't condone that either. I agree with what
Yeah.
you said. I hope they find the people that were responsible for this. It's absurd and it's wrong. But at the same time, these MAGA Republicans are hypocrites, at least in my eyes and in my opinion. First 8 weeks of Donald Trump's administration, what grade would you give him on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst?
Mm. Well, um, let's put it into his perspective. So just like you had said earlier, there was a laundry list of things he campaigned on. So whether if he throws spaghetti at the wall and it all sticks or some of it sticks, he's out there talking about it, right? Like he's actively moving forward with 100% that he campaigned on. Now you may eat it all up. I may eat it all up, or you may believe he's full of garbage and I may believe he's full of garbage. Either way, he's out there and he has an incredible communications team this go around. His PR team is actually pretty excellent this go around. So I think the fact that they are around the clock force feeding the message people are actually, buying into the fact that he is actively working 100% on everything he campaigned on. That you got to give him a 10 for. Now, whether if he's actually following through with it or not, that's left to be unseen. But you have to give him credit for that. I think the fact that he was very forceful, like I mentioned already, on illegal immigration, that was a 10. Because that was on day one. The fact that he was able to get his confirmations through, that was a 10. That was extremely impressive and happened in the blink of an eye, it felt like. Now, as far as dealing with Ukraine, as far as dealing with, Putin, that I give him, a 1, because I'm really not happy with that. And you and I have a mutual friend who has been working very hard on behalf of the Ukrainian government and in connecting with the U.S. government, and in
Mhm.
Sarah Ashton Cirillo, and
Yep.
who is probably one of the most intelligent, hardworking individuals I've ever met. And
Yeah.
so to know that she's still actively out there doing her darndest to make sure that the Ukrainian government does not fall. And
Yeah.
I talk to her, periodically, and she'll tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's hard. But she's still fighting, which tells me it's worth it because she's not dumb. So
Yep.
it's worth it. So that right there,
Mhm.
really makes me angry with
Mhm.
the Trump administration.
Yeah, it makes me angry as well. The only thing I would say about the people that you said he hired in his administration and how quickly he did it, I would make the analogy of if you own a big business and you just started a big business and you need a staff immediately, it's important to get a staff in place immediately, but I would also say it's important to get a staff in place that knows what they're doing and that is qualified. Pete Hegseth is not qualified. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not qualified. Kash Patel is not qualified. Pam Bondi is not qualified. And I can go down the list. You're right. He did it pretty quickly. But these are people that are completely unqualified for the job.
Well, and I'm not
Yeah,
saying they're qualified, but I think
right.
in his mind, and with the people that he continues to surround himself with, like his son Don Jr.,
Yeah,
and a number of other advisors that he continues to surround himself with, I
yeah.
feel like they did their homework, their research, and this is what made them feel comfortable and confident to move
Um,
forward with these individuals.
yep.
I mean, when he brought up Matt Gaetz, whoo, that one right there, my head spun. But for some reason, I don't know if he threw him out just, to the wolves just to test the waters, or if he really felt that Matt was qualified.
Yeah,
I mean, that was kind of
yeah,
scary. But
yeah.
in the end, they seem to feel that this is their team. And so, I don't agree necessarily with the qualifications like you, but I was impressed with the way that they were able to handle it and get it done in a timely manner. So that way they
Uh,
could actually move forward with getting his policies, and issues implemented
uh,
to the best of his ability.
I thought the Democrats needed to do a better job in hammering some of the people in Trump's administration. And like I said, I
Yeah.
think most of the people in this administration are not serious people. They're unqualified. And Caroline Leavitt, who's done this show before, embarrasses herself. She didn't even know what a tariff was. She has her talking points in place. She doesn't do her homework. And I will give some of the other press secretaries that were in Donald Trump's first administration a little bit of credit. While I don't like them personally, they did do their homework and they had binders and they did study. I don't think Caroline Leavitt does any homework. She didn't even know how to answer a very basic tariff question, and then she attacked the reporter. But anyway, we can talk about
In
that.
the very
Yeah.
beginning, I thought Caroline was phenomenal. And then I think she got overly confident and cocky,
Mhm.
and she just becomes extremely combative.
Yep.
I think the person that you're alluding to the first go around when Trump was president was Kayleigh
McEnany.
McEnany.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
listen,
she was phenomenal.
I wouldn't character, just me personally, I wouldn't characterize her as phenomenal, but at least I will give her credit for doing homework and talking about the issues. I don't feel like Caroline Leavitt does that, and we'll see how this whole thing plays out. I'm not sure if Levette's going to last another 3.5 years, but we'll find out. We'll see. Amy, it is always a pleasure having you on the program. I appreciate you. And to all the listeners out there, I want to be very clear on this. Amy is not a Donald Trump supporter. She's not MAGA.
No.
So I do appreciate the fact that she is not. And I'm happy to call her a friend. Amy, I appreciate you coming on as always. It's great to see you. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate that. Yeah, me and Amy are not going to agree on everything. That's obvious. But at least she's not a Trump supporter anymore, at least. So that's good. So there's a lot to get to today. And I want to start off by just saying this to Chief Justice John Roberts and any of the MAGA Republicans out there, anybody in general, even Democrats that are praising John Roberts because he pushed back on Donald Trump's rhetoric against federal judges. Screw you. Chief Justice Roberts, screw you. Why do I say that? Because you're the one who granted Donald Trump immunity as the president of the United States. You reap what you sow. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I don't want to hear Chief Justice John Roberts. What did you expect he was going to do? What did you expect he was going to do here when you granted him immunity? Number two, I want to be very clear on this as well. As I mentioned with Amy, I don't condone violence in any way, shape, or form. I don't condone anybody lighting vehicles on fire. But if MAGA Republicans today want to call the person or persons responsible for lighting Tesla vehicles on fire terrorists, criminals, okay. Where were you on January 6th? Where were you when Donald Trump called some of those people who beat cops patriots? You have zero ground to stand on. You are a hypocrite. Shut up and sit down. It's only convenient for MAGA Republicans when it fits their narrative. In this case, Elon Musk, precious Elon Musk's vehicles being lit on fire. Here's what we know. That place, and I'm not condoning the behavior, that place has insurance. They're going to be refunded for those vehicles that were set on fire. That's number one. I have no doubt in my mind that the Metro Police Department here will do their due diligence. I think we have a great sheriff here in Kevin McMahill. They're going to find the people that were responsible for this. I'm sure there probably is some sort of surveillance video. And I hope they are. But if you're going to call those people terrorists who light cars on fire, which again, I don't condone, then you better call those people who beat police officers on January 6th terrorists as well. Speaking of terrorists, I was in one of those X spaces the other day. And I joined my friend, Pam Hemphill. She is my friend. She went to jail for her actions on January 6th. She's owned it. And in return, she has turned on MAGA, turned on Donald Trump. She speaks truth to power. And I appreciate Pam for doing that. She made a mistake. So she invited me to a MAGA space. And the guy that was in, well, it wasn't really a MAGA space. I shouldn't characterize it as that. It was an X space with Pam and a few Proud Boy members that were not happy with her. So one of the guys who entered this X space, his name is Jonathan Munafo. He's 36 years old out of Albany, New York. I want you to play this short, my producer is going to play this short video clip from a local news station talking about this guy that I got into it with. He beat police officers on January 6th, and he was one of the people that were pardoned. Have a listen to him, a little bit of background on this lunatic before we continue.
New developments at noon. A man identified as one of the 10 most wanted after the Capitol riot has agreed to a plea deal. Jonathan Munafo was arrested here in Orlando in April of 2021. FBI agents say he was caught on video hitting a Capitol police officer in the head and taking the officer's shield. They say he was also seen trying to break a window of the Capitol with a wooden flagpole. Munafo was set to appear in court on Friday for a status hearing, but court records show that hearing has now been rescheduled to April as a plea hearing.
Okay, so absolute scumbag. I think we all could. A guy who beat police officers on January 6th, a guy who was charged with assaulting, resisting, and impeding certain officers, and civil disorder. So, terrible guy, right? I think we all could agree. Horrible guy. He probably still belongs in jail. And he was one of those people that was pardoned on January 6th. So when I saw him in this space, he was attacking Pam Hemphill. I put an end to that really fast. And I showed you how stupid this guy is and so many of these others on January 6th. So this is me getting into it with Jonathan Munafo. He swore constantly, by the way. And I proved to him, because he's so stupid, what a racist he is, based on his own answers that he gave me. It's mesmerizing to me. It really is absolutely mesmerizing to me, and it's crazy at the same time. So I want to play for you the audio. This is the audio of the X space and me getting into it with this January 6th insurrectionist, Jonathan Munafo, who beat cops on January 6th. Have a listen to this.
Then can you name me some policies under Donald Trump here in the last 8 weeks or so that you think are great policies? Like, give me a couple.
His release of the January 6th prisoners.
Okay,
like
so
me.
let's talk. Gotcha.
Great policy.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk about that. So in this country, if you beat a police officer, you think it's good policy to not put those people in prison?
Officers
in general,
were actively engaged in attacking people
Jonathan,
in the crowd. No, you're interrupting.
Jonathan,
you're not letting me speak. So if you're not going to let me speak, go f yourself.
Okay, so you're not answering the question. You're deflecting. I asked you a very generic thing, not about January 6th. So I need you to focus. It's not about your specific case. I need. So John.
Warning.
Yeah, and Jonathan, don't swear at me either, okay, pal? So here you go. Here's a very generic question. I need you to listen to the question, Jonathan. That's the problem. You're so angry. I need you to pay attention. In general, if you beat a police officer in this country, the evidence shows that you beat a police officer. You plead guilty to beating a police officer because there's evidence and you have your day in court to defend yourself, and you plead guilty to battery and assault on a cop. Are you okay in general with people like that being pardoned? It's a very simple question.
It really is, but it's a nuanced position because the majority of January 6ers were not just
talking about not talking. No, I need you to.
You're not even going to let me speak. You're not even going to let me speak.
Because you're not. The question had nothing to do with January 6th. I'm now going to ask it for a third time.
Well, listen, we're obviously talking about January 6th. So let me.
No, we're not. No, I'm giving you a generic question. I need to. No,
I'm going to just keep interrupting.
Because it's not. Because the answer has nothing to do. The question had nothing to do with January 6th, and you keep bringing it up in the first sentence. So I'm going to try one more time to ask you this question. The question has nothing to do with January 6th. It's a very general, generic question. So I'm going to try one more time with you, and this will be the last time. In general, in this country, if you beat a police officer, if there's video and direct evidence, and the person who's guilty of it admits to it, and pleads guilty in court, even though they had the opportunity to defend themselves in a courtroom in general terms, do you think that person should be pardoned? And that question has nothing to do with January 6th. It's just a general question which you're struggling to answer. So go ahead for the third time. Go ahead.
So you want a yes or no answer to a question that is obviously about January 6th, but I'll give you the yes or no answer. I think it's nuanced. Yes, I do agree with the pardons.
Okay, so he finally gave me an answer. And the reason why I didn't bring up January 6th, because, he's going to be defensive because it's his own case and he beat police officers and he was pardoned. And he pled guilty, by the way. All right. So here's where I get him. By the way, his answer there is completely absurd. I think we all could agree. Anybody who beats a police officer, doesn't matter where or how, and you plead guilty and there's evidence that you beat a cop, you should be in jail for a very long time. Obviously, this idiot did that. He beat a cop. He punched a cop in the face on January 6th. So, of course, he's going to make the idiotic claim that, yeah, if you beat police officers in general, yes, you shouldn't go to jail. You should be pardoned. Here's where I get him, and he's so stupid. Here's where you can pin these white supremacist proud boy morons in a corner. Listen to the next question that I ask him.
Got you. So in this country, if you beat a police officer, you're okay with anybody being pardoned. So if somebody beat a cop during the Black Lives Matter protest, you would also be okay with them being pardoned as well? So if Joe Biden decided to pardon a bunch of African Americans,
wasn't about January 6th. You're deflecting.
No, I said Black Lives Matter. I didn't bring up January 6th. So I need you to pay attention. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears, and I need you to pay attention to the words that I'm using. I didn't mention January 6th. Pay attention. I mentioned Black Lives Matter, something that you guys talk about a lot. So my question to you is as follows. Pay attention, my friend. In a Black Lives Matter protest, if a black person beat a police officer and was sent to jail, would you be okay with those people being pardoned as well? It's a very specific question that has nothing to do with January 6th.
It's obvious what you're doing.
No, answer the question, please.
Does it have to be a black person? Why is it a black
I will
person
ask it.
specifically?
I will ask it now for the
Rephrase your
second
question
time.
so it doesn't have a racial.
Okay. Hold on. Nope. I'm going to ask it now again. Every question I ask, it seems like I have to ask it like 3 times, but that's okay.
Because you're obviously trying to maneuver your question to put it in the framework or context of a specific idea.
Okay. No, it's not a specific ideology. It's a very basic question. And if you were smart enough to understand, you'd know I'm trying to find some consistency, which clearly you don't have. But that's okay. I'll ask a very direct question again. I'll repeat it for you because sometimes people like you need it repeated 3 or 4 times. So that's okay. You just made a blatant statement and said if you beat cops in this country, you're okay with pardons. Your answer was yes. Okay. So going by your own standard, if you're an African American who beat a cop, white or black, during Black Lives Matter protests, let's just say hypothetically speaking, a black person at a Black Lives Matter protest who beat a white police officer. For the record, by the way, I'm not okay with pardoning anybody who beats cops, but I want to see if you're consistent. If you're a black person who beat a white cop during a Black Lives Matter protest, Jonathan, as a Proud Boy member, would you be okay with that pardon? Going by your own standards, would you be okay with that? That's now the 3rd time I've asked the question. It's a yes or no answer.
No.
Okay, so
there you go.
What Jonathan...
So there you go. Now I'm going to play another few minutes of this, but this guy, and by the way, this conversation just happened the other day. Here's a guy who just said he's okay with, pardons for people who beat police officers. But when it comes to a Black Lives Matter protest and hypothetically speaking, a black person that beats a cop, he's not okay with that pardon. So clearly he just showed he's a bigot, he's a racist, which probably we already knew. And here's where he gets so upset at me for exposing him for it.
Question. It's a yes or no answer.
No.
Okay, so what Jonathan has proven, and I'm so glad that Jonathan answered those questions. So if a black person beats a white cop on a Black Lives Matter protest, he's not okay with a pardon. But if a white supremacist, or in this case, a Proud Boy member, beats a cop on January 6th, he's totally okay with those pardons. Jonathan, you have just... No, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Mute him. Mute. Jonathan, you dug your own... Jonathan, you're going to be dropped. You're a loser. You're going to be dropped. You're going to be dropped. I'm a loser because I just proved that you're a white supremacist. You see, so Jonathan, and I haven't called you any names, but Jonathan has just proven to all of us in this room that if a black person beats a white cop on a Black Lives Matter protest, he's not okay with pardoning those people.
But you said January 6th, it wasn't about January 6th. You said a generic question.
Mr. White supremacist, just hang on. I'm almost done making my point, and then I'm sure you'll say some very intelligent things.
You're a liar.
But Jonathan,
you're a liar.
Jonathan just said, I'm just going to repeat it just so everyone can hear it, because maybe some people didn't hear. If a black person beats a white cop during a Black Lives Matter protest, Jonathan is not... I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. That means you be quiet. He says no pardon, like he just said. Right. We got Jonathan, I think we all understand, okay? But if you're a white person who beats a cop, will you... Hey, Jonathan, I'm not done yet, okay? I'm talking now. I know it gets you angry that I just proved that you're a racist moron, but I'm just making the point here, okay?
Proud Boys are run by a black guy. How can we be racist?
By the way, Enrique Tarrio is not black, okay? That's number one. He did my show, and I know Enrique, and you're a moron. But we've all proven, and Jonathan has just proven, that if you're somebody white who beat a cop on January 6th, that's okay. But if you're black and you beat a cop during a Black Lives Matter,
you're a liar.
If you're black, Jonathan just said, okay, so Jonathan, I'll give you the opportunity.
You're a liar. You said it wasn't about January 6th.
Jonathan,
in general, be truthful with your people.
Jonathan, you're obviously not very bright, but that's okay. I deal with people like you all the time. So tell me where I'm lying here, okay? I'm going to say something, so give me 20 seconds to say it without interrupting me, and then I want to give you the opportunity to tell me where I'm lying. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so here we go, Jonathan. I need you to listen for 20 seconds, and then I'll stop talking. Okay, Jonathan, tell me where I lied. Jonathan just said that if you're a black person who beats a cop during a Black Lives Matter protest, he's not okay with a pardon. However, he also said that if you're a white person who beat a cop on January 6th, that you should be pardoned. Jonathan, where am I lying? Is that not your opinion? Did I get your opinion wrong, Jonathan?
You've absolutely twisted what you asked originally. You said it was not about January 6th. You've proven yourself have a great day, dude. You're a total grifter.
I think
Thanks
you
for the
proved,
time. Appreciate you.
Yep.
No,
We just proved that you're a racist. You don't you ate your own words. You just said everyone on January 6th should get a pardon, including those who beat police officers. That is your opinion. You made a blatant statement. Absolutely.
And it happened.
Of course. But yet, if you're a black person who beat a cop during Black Lives Matter protest, you're not okay with those pardons, which proves that you are a racist.
Can I answer why?
No, I don't care. You're a racist piece of shit. That's why.
You do care.
You
don't
are
want to
a
hear why.
racist piece of. That's what you are. You are a racist. You are a bigot, and you belong behind bars. Good luck at your Klan rally tonight, Jonathan. You are a racist bigot.
I'm a free man,
you are. I don't care whether you're free. You're a racist.
I'm a free man,
You're a racist, ignorant, uneducated, trailer trash, white trash piece of shit is what you are. You just proved it in this conversation. Go f yourself and have a nice day.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. That's how the conversation ended, and then they dropped him. And there were a lot of people in there listening, and nobody interrupted, to their credit, and they were just listening. So this is obviously somebody who wasn't even smart enough to understand that I was pinning him in a corner. And he admitted that if you're a black person who beat a cop during Black Lives Matter protest, you should go to jail and you shouldn't be pardoned. But if you're a white person, and then his excuse was, you said you weren't going to bring up January 6th. By the way, how about that guy's voice? He sounded a little bit like Ben Shapiro. What a weasel. You said you weren't going to bring up January 6th. You're a liar. You're a liar. Let me repeat once again. That's the guy who assaulted cops. He resisted. He was charged with 2 felony counts, civil disorder, and he went to jail. And the only reason why he's out is because Donald Trump decided to pardon him. Really good people. What a little weasel that guy was. Oh, my gosh. So that's how that conversation went down. And Jonathan, not a very intelligent person, shouldn't be out in public, certainly is a danger to society. But again, he's so stupid, he didn't even realize his own words prove that he is a racist, bigoted piece of human garbage. And I stand by everything that I have said about him. So it is interesting that we'll cover a little bit of the breaking news here. The Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the John F. Kennedy Jr. file is supposed to be released today. And a lot of people on the right think that, everything Donald Trump says turns to fruition, and it's true, right? So I figured I'd play you a little bit of audio here, because this is Donald Trump back in 2016 that accused Ted Cruz's father of being involved in the JFK assassination. And this was on Fox News, where, of course, the Fox News idiots were just smiling and shaking their head yes. But again, this is Donald Trump claiming that Ted Cruz's family members were responsible for the JFK assassination. Have a listen to this.
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald being, shot. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. What is this, right prior to his being shot? And nobody even brings it up. I mean, they don't even talk about that. That was reported, and nobody talks about it. But I think it's horrible.
Right. There was a picture out there that reportedly shows Rafael Cruz standing with Lee Harvey Oswald.
I mean, what was he doing with Lee Harvey Oswald shortly before the death, before the shooting? It's horrible.
That's that weasel, Brian Kilmeade, by the way, who has zero credibility. So, MAGA, they always say that Trump is right about everything, right? He can do no wrong. So when these files are released, they're supposed to be released today. When they're released and it shows that nobody in Ted Cruz's family were, and by the way, I'm not here to defend Ted Cruz, but when it shows that nobody in his family was responsible for the JFK assassination, will Donald Trump retract? Will he apologize? Of course not, because Donald Trump is an imbecile. Speaking of imbeciles, Beetlejuice play herself, Lauren Boebert, who likes to pleasure men sexually in public during plays. Fight, fight, fight. Should I do that again? Fight, fight, fight. Anyway, Lauren Boebert did a little Newsmax interview yesterday, and she said that the House needs to, I'm not making this up, the House needs to impeach the judges who've ruled against Donald Trump. So that's the point we're at in this country now. A very intelligent lady, Lauren Boebert, not trailer trash at all, is claiming that any judge who rules against Donald Trump should be impeached. Have a listen to this.
In every executive order, they're trying to find a way to shut any progress that he is making down. And it's kind of like whack-a-mole right now. But in the House of Representatives, we need to do our due diligence and impeach these radical Soros-funded judges. That is our responsibility to the American people and how we uphold the Constitution and truly have a check and balance on the other branches of government.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Lauren Boebert making the case that if you rule against Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form, regardless on the merits of the case or the experience that a judge has, you should be impeached. Well, here's what I think we should do, ladies and gentlemen. I think for any judge that rules against Donald Trump, we should reward them by Lauren Boebert taking them to a Beetlejuice play. That's what I think. If they're not married or they don't have a girlfriend, that's what I think they should do. Yeah, fight. Lauren Boebert. All right, so here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start off by reading some of these YouTube super chats that we've had here in the past few minutes. If you don't know what we're doing, the YouTube super chat, your questions and comments will be heard. You could also check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. I want to thank Paul Lance for his donation. Thank you, Paul. We certainly appreciate you. Paul says, Army should read the Smoot Moody tariffs to the Great Depression. She fundamentally does not understand how badly these tariffs are. Well, Paul, obviously, I agree with you. Thank you so much for your donation. We certainly appreciate you. Paul made some donations on the YouTube Super Chat right now, which we will continue. Randall, thank you very much for your donation. Randall says, Brian, bravo to you, sir, for dealing with these maggots, these delusionary people seemingly getting worse and worse as we fall into the new world of a real-life idiocracy. Well, I completely agree with you, Randall, and I appreciate your support. A reminder, you could also go on my website, pushingthelimits.live, where we sell merchandise on there, shirts, hats, beanies, and you can also make donations. We're an independently run show, so we rely on great people like yourselves to help us, and we appreciate you guys very much. We're going to keep that YouTube Super Chat going. Also want to thank Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, the sponsor of this segment and the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show. Any Monday this month, if you earn 1,500 points on any machine, you're going to get $100 in free slot play the following day. Check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, and tell them that I sent you. So when we come back, we are going to be taking your phone calls, and here's what we are talking about. First of all, I would like to get your reaction to that. I wouldn't even call it debate, the massacre that I had in proving Jonathan Munafo, a man who beat cops on January 6th and went to jail for it and was pardoned. Just the hypocrisy and the racism and the bigotry. Your thoughts on that conversation, if that's what you would like to call it, that I had with him that we just played. Vladimir Putin's conversation, 2 hours with Donald Trump. What do you think happened? What do you think was accomplished, if anything? I do want to get your thoughts on that as well. Those are the two big topics of the day. Putin and Trump speaking for 2 hours today. And, of course, I want to get your thoughts on the discussion I had with the Proud Boy member who beat a cop on January 6th, Jonathan Munafo. What did you make of that as well? So we'll take some phone calls on the other side. We'll be back in 90 seconds. That number is 702-221-7283. And, again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. If you don't want to call in, you can make a donation. You could be on the Super Chat. I'll read your questions and comments live on the air as well. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.jkhelps.org. www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
Craving something sweet? Head to 777 Cookies and More. From warm, gooey chocolate chip cookies to unique seasonal treats. Whether it's a classic cookie, coffee, or catering needs, we've got you covered. Come in for a taste of heaven today at 777 Cookies and More. Your sweet escape. Located at Sahara and Decatur in Sahara Pavilion North. 777 Cookies and More, 4750 West Sahara and Decatur. Sweetness awaits at 777cookies.com.
Complete Family Care in Henderson is open. No waiting, just walk in, see the doctor right away, have your blood and x-rays done on site, and so call them today at 702-747-7770. Fall allergy season is here. Get a 3-month allergy shot for $120. 3 months of allergy relief for just $120. Complete Family Care accepts all major insurances and Medicare, so visit us today at cfchenderson.com. That's cfchenderson.com, or call them at 702-747-7770. That's 747-7770.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We had Amy Tarkanian on with us first segment, former Republican chair of the state of Nevada. We just played my, I guess you could say, thrashing, I would like to call it. Maybe I'm a little biased of with Proud Boy member Jonathan Munafo, who beat a police officer on January 6th. I do want to add this, too. When I say friend or I call somebody a friend, it's condescending. I will never be a friend of a Proud Boy member, okay? When I say friend or pal, I use those terms sometimes. It's a saying that I'll use from time to time, but it's not literal. Sometimes people take what I say literal. It's said in a very condescending fashion. Thank you, Crystal, for your support on the YouTube Super Chat. Says, any response from Trump about the 40 deaths due to tornadoes, had no warning from NOAA because of the cuts. West Virginia, Kentucky, flooding either, nothing. Well, you're right, but he does this, Chris, and thank you for your support, Crystal. He does this from time to time, right? He will talk about how he won the club championship on the golf course, but he won't help so many brave people that sadly some have lost their lives and some have lost their homes. So this is not the first time, and it won't be the last time. So I want to thank our sponsors of the PTL radio show, Aura. And I've been talking about this a lot on the show, especially recently. We know that X was just hacked into. Elon Musk was talking about that. Bank of America just had a major breach. So Aura is the smart and simple way to stay safe online. They protect your family from fraud. And, of course, digital safety is so important, right? You don't want big companies with poor security to be hacked. Apparently, X and Bank of America are two of those companies. So they do all the hard work for you, Aura does. They'll protect you from fraud and online threats. Here's the best part of this, right? If you're a listener of the PTL show, you go on the bottom of your screen right there, and you will see this link on the bottom of your screen, and it's aura.com/PTL. You see it right there on the bottom. 2-week free trial, risk-free. Why not just give it a try? And I promise you, you won't be disappointed. You don't want to be a victim of fraud or online threats. I've been the victim before. I'll never let that happen again. Try out Aura for free 2 weeks. Use the link on the bottom there, and you'll be surprised what they can find. Thank you for our sponsors, Aura. I promised you that I would get right to the phone calls. I'm going to do that right now. I want to just remind all you guys, go on the website, pushingthelimits.live, donations. You can buy merchandise up there. And, of course, on the YouTube Super Chat right now, where your questions and comments will be heard live. Let's start off with Jessica calling out of Washington. Hi, Jessica.
Hello.
Hi, Jessica. What's on your mind?
Okay, so my main thing is a lot of these Republicans, even like the ones that are regretting voting for Trump, my issue is that Trump, in the very beginning of his presidency campaign, said that he was all for Project 2025. And when people weren't agreeing with him, he later switched out and said, "Oh, I don't know nothing about Project 2025." And all these people believed him instead of listening to what he said in the beginning to what he's saying now. All these lies. What even bothers me is that Trump even stated, "I could go out and kill somebody and I would still be voted president." How in the world are people okay with that?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why some people are okay with that, because they're cultists, because they don't care. It's the same people that didn't care about what happened on January 6th, but God forbid if somebody lights a Tesla on fire, which, by the way, I don't condone, they're terrorists and they should get...
condone.
Yeah.
I don't condone, but at the same time, Elon got what he deserved.
Well, Elon deserves a lot worse, in my personal opinion, than just a few people that decide to light a few Tesla cars on fire, because that doesn't really affect him at all. Elon's a horrible father. He's a horrible man. He's a horrible human being. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. He only cares about himself, his ego, excuse me, and staying in power.
And I agree with that, because here's the thing. I mean, they're so busy, like, gutting all these government, agencies and programs. But the one that does not seem to get gutted is the one that supplies Elon Musk $8 million a day.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm in agreement with you 150%, my dear, and I really do appreciate your call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Shelley calling out of West Virginia. Hello, Shelley.
Hey, Brian. That was great. When you go into those spaces, I love it. Because you know what you're talking about, and they don't.
Right.
They don't know where you're going to get them. But if you allow me, something that happened on Friday when the Democrats voted for that CR, I put out into the ether and on your show that Democrats were damned either way. But I thought it was a clean CR, sir. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
I have been dealing with a personal issue at the time, and I hadn't been watching anything. But I have called every one of them and given a piece of my mind.
Yeah, well, rightfully so, my dear. You should.
And I apologize for putting that out on your air.
No, you have no reason to apologize, my dear. Listen, there's a lot of people right now that are very frustrated. I'm not saying that you should be lighting Tesla cars on fire, and I know you wouldn't do that, and I certainly would never condone violence, but there is still a difference between arson and lighting a car on fire, where, God forbid, and luckily, from what I understand, nobody was injured or hurt, than beating police officers on January 6th, and many of them sent to the hospital, and some of them have traumatic brain injury. But you see, it's the MAGA Republicans out there that think if you light a Tesla car on fire, you just massacred a bunch of people. You know, there are more MAGA Republicans out there today that are more upset about a few Tesla cars that were lit on fire than a mass shooting when a bunch of 8- and 9-year-old kids are murdered. And if you don't believe me, look at their reactions on social media. A bunch of 8- and 9-year-old kids are killed. Thoughts and prayers. Our thoughts are with the families. A couple Tesla cars are lit on fire. They're terrorists, and the anger. I really feel like, and you guys could tell me if you disagree, there are MAGA Republicans, some in this country, that are more upset at a Tesla vehicle exploding with nobody hurt or injured than a bunch of 8- and 9-year-old innocent kids shot in a school. I really, truly believe that. I really do. Do you? 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Tony. Tony's calling out of California. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Brian. First of all, I got two things. I'll try to go through the first one briefly. That Proud Boy Mofo or whatever his name is.
Yep.
In my opinion, at the end of the day, he only cares about his own case. He cares that he got away with it. It's trying to ask him if he has an issue generally with beating police officers. You're never going to get an answer because he doesn't care about that. The fact is, he did it. He got away with it. The fact that he did, he's okay with.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I want to bring that up is because I've been meaning to call back ever since you had Ben Miller on the line, and I had an opportunity to talk to him. I wish I had more time because Ben Miller is what some people may not or may not have heard of this term. He's what we call a sovereign citizen. One of these people who they think the laws don't apply to them, that's voluntary based, and effectively they feel like it's rights for me but not for thee, which is the same vibe I got from the Proud Boy guy, Mofo. And I wish I had more time to talk about this because Ben Miller, like in his mind, like he's almost like an anarchist. Like he hates big government. He wants freedom to do whatever he wants. No driver's licenses, no vehicle registration, no need to he can just have a gun if he wants one. Yeah. All these things. And yet here he is siding with the most authoritarian government we've ever had.
If you guys don't know who this gentleman is talking about, I had a guy named Ben Miller in studio last week, and he was the alleged third attempted assassin on Donald Trump. That turned out not to be true. He sued the police department, and obviously I disagree with his opinions. I agree with this caller. I disagree with his stances on a number of different issues. Darlene, thank you for your donation. She says you're the best, Brian. John, thank you, Darlene. We appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Why don't we go to Simon, who's calling out of Virginia? Simon is next. Hi, Simon.
Oh, hey. Hey, Brian, got another little while you weren't looking bit of news for you.
Okay.
Up in Minnesota, the GOP in that state tried to pass a bill that officially classifies Trump derangement syndrome as a mental illness for official purposes. As it goes in the DSM-5, it can be used as a red flag for gun purchases, you name it.
Well, let's start this one ourselves. We're going to start this disease, my friend, and you can tell me if you agree. Trump fellatio syndrome. What that means is you're on your knees and you perform fellatio on Donald Trump in a sense of the way you think about him, the way you talk about him. And I think that's a mental illness. The Lauren Boeberts of the world, for example, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world, the Nancy Maces of the world, those that are in his administration, Pete Hegseth, for example, Trump fellatio syndrome. Now, I think that should be a mental disorder. And I think if you're performing fellatio on Donald Trump verbally 24/7, then I don't think you should be allowed to purchase a weapon. I don't think you should be allowed to even be out in society. I think you all should be, I'm going to say maybe all should be deported to Russia. So that's my bill. That's my bill.
If you got flies buzzing around the mouth, that's a red flag.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, my friend, and I appreciate the phone call, my friend. Thank you very much. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dave. Dave is calling out of Ohio. Hello, Dave.
Hey, Brian. How you doing today?
Hey, good.
I got a good question for you, and I'm going to go first and foremost. Your interview with your Senator Republican friend was awesome, but here's my whole thing. The whole Tesla thing of them setting the Teslas on fire.
Yeah.
As we recall, in January 6th, they were saying they were I forgot what it was, but they were bringing people in by the buses because it was fake. It wasn't the real people. How do we know it's not the same thing with the Teslas?
I mean, it's a conspiracy theory. Though if it went the other direction, I'm sure that's a conspiracy theory that they would use. But the reason why they're calling these people who lit these cars on fire terrorists is because they bow down to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I mean, that's the only reason why they're doing that. And it's pretty simple. Like if you're a black person living in America and you commit a crime, they want all of them to have the electric chair, even if they're innocent. The Central Park Five is a perfect example of that. But if you're a white supremacist that beats police officers and chants out, hang Mike Pence, somehow that makes you a patriot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the MAGA Republican Party today.
Right, and that's where I'm getting at. What should be is if it's good for one, it should be good for the other. That's all I'm getting at.
And that's all I'm getting at. I'm with you 100%. We don't condone people who light cars on fire. You're an idiot if you do something like that. But I think you're, if you're one of those people that is up in arms over people lighting Teslas on fire or keying Teslas, but you're totally okay with pardoning a bunch of violent insurrectionists on January 6th, then you have zero credibility. And sadly, that's where many in the Republican Party are at today. So anybody on the right who wants to start complaining about Teslas being lit on fire, if you're the same person that's okay with pardoning a bunch of insurrectionists on January 6th and you called it a tourist visit, then you have zero credibility and you need to shut the F up. That's what I think.
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Melinda, who's calling out of Texas. Hello, Melinda.
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Thank you for taking my call. And yes, I'm in Texas, and it's a horrible, if you are a good person or compassionate, this state is not for you because, Governor Abbott and all that, I mean, he's right out of Trump's pockets. But I was just going to say, the gentleman that you let us listen to some of the audio, Jonathan, whatever.
Yep.
He really is the epitome of the uneducated white man that, like you say, is on his knees constantly for the wrong thing. Now, I have a brother that is uneducated. He's on Medicaid. Long story short, I have to find him some place to live. I'm worried about the funding of Medicaid being taken away because he'd have no way to support himself, and it would fall on me.
Yeah.
So I am very concerned. But these morons, it's amazing to me how many uneducated white men that are just falling in line and just eating up everything that comes out of Trump's mouth.
That's really, to me, for the most part, and there are some exceptions, but to the most part, what it comes down to is so many of these people are white women as well, but white males that are angry, and they take out their white anger on people. They're very uneducated. They're very, very ill-informed. Now, I'm very disappointed with white women in this country, particularly the 54% of them who voted for Donald Trump. But
Oh my God,
Donald Trump's base are middle-aged white men. Many of them are racist. They're bigots. They're ill-informed. They're uneducated. They're very stupid people. And a lot of those people I would characterize are people that are in hate groups, like the Oath Keepers or the Proud Boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing is, my father was originally from Mexico, came to this country. He was a physician, he had 5 kids. We were not brought up to hate anyone. But for some reason, my one brother that's left, he really has a hateful thing, especially towards the people coming across the border.
Yeah.
And then I have to remind him, do you realize that you're half Mexican, remember? So anyway,
They forget where they came from, my dear, and it's good to hear from you, and I appreciate your phone call. Stay safe out there. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is calling out of Pennsylvania. What's going on, Mark?
Mark, yes, this is Mark from Pennsylvania and YouTube. It's U.S. Army Combat Medic. And Brian, I want to make amends with you because you clarified that comment about my friend Enrique Tarrio. I really became enraged when you said it. That's how much I despise these people.
Well, but hold on, Mark. Hang on.
I want to call to thank you for clarifying that comment.
Mark, do you really believe on where my beliefs are at when it comes to the Proud Boys, when it comes to bigotry and racism, when it comes to what happened on January 6th, that you think I meant it literally when you heard that?
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I had my doubts, but I kind of believed it because, don't take this offensively, because you stated you have a lot of MAGA friends. So I kind of figured, hey, maybe this is another friend.
I wouldn't say I have a lot. I wouldn't say I have a lot of MAGA friends.
All right, you had MAGA friends.
I do have some. Yeah, I have some. I have some friends. I do have some friends that voted for Donald Trump. Yes, I do.
Right. So
yes,
I kind of said, well, maybe, but I became so enraged that I want to thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, no problem.
I really do.
So there, and you Mark. Okay, hold on. Just let me get this out there.
Sure.
You understand that there is a fine line difference between somebody who voted for Donald Trump and somebody who was convicted of seditious conspiracy on January 6th, right? There is a big difference there. You would agree, right?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Go ahead.
Now, I advise everybody in the chat, look, I said I was wrong because Brian clarified this, But here's how I do business, guys, and maybe you should also think about doing this. Maybe you already are. I need to have my garage door adjusted 2 days ago. And I called up a local guy, and we agreed upon a price and an appointment. And my last question to the guy was, this is how I do business. I need to know if you are pro or anti-Trump. I didn't say, I'm anti first. He stated, I'm pro-Trump. I said, well, I don't need your help helping me with my garage door. And I kept going until I found someone who was anti-Trump.
Yeah.
And I don't mind saying this because I will not give a penny to anyone who displayed flags of Trump or any business that is pro-Trump.
Well,
but
Mark,
in
let me
closing,
respond.
I want to thank you, Brian.
Thank you. So, Mark, let me respond to that. First of all, you are well within your right to do that. That's number one. Number two, I don't disagree with you. If it comes down to it and I need a service to be done, let's just say my car breaks down and I got to bring it to an auto body shop. I would much rather bring it to an auto body shop that is not pro-Trump. So I can totally understand where you're coming from. Now, sometimes we're going to be in situations where we might not have a choice and we need something done immediately. Okay, I get that. I would much rather, I'm on the record as saying this, I would much rather do business with somebody who is anti-Donald Trump than somebody who is pro-Trump. So Mark, I agree with your sentiments on that. And by the way, as an American consumer, you are well within your rights to ask that question. And if they don't want to answer it, then don't give them service. So I totally am with you on that one. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Shelley, thank you for the super chat donation. Says, well, Brian, I guess we all have Trump derangement syndrome, and you're the worst, I suppose. Good for you. Yeah. Well, I don't think I have Trump derangement syndrome. I think I have Trump, how would I call it? Tell the truth syndrome, where I call things out every day. And if Donald Trump lies, if he does something that's despicable, I'm going to call it out. I don't think that's a syndrome. I think if a syndrome is being honest and telling the truth and calling out BS, then go ahead and say I have the syndrome. For the people out there that want to say I have Trump derangement syndrome in a negative fashion, I would say again, I go back to what I said before. You guys have Trump fellatio syndrome. 702-221-7283. MJ in the YouTube super chat said I have Trump reality syndrome. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's see here. Let's go to Tez. Tez is calling out of Louisiana. What's going on, Tez?
Hey, what's going on, Brian?
Hey.
Great show. I think one of the things that we should come to grips with based on your previous caller and historic facts, which I really appreciate the fact that that's what runs your show is empirical facts and not hearsay and BS, is that the Republican Party has 3 voting blocks that they have openly accepted to have support them. You've got the people who have money who want a tax break. That includes the gazillionaires. You got the fake Christian right, and you've got racists. And the fake Christian right and the racists kind of overlap. You've got a lot of people hiding behind the Bible that are blatantly racist. And so they're not going to hide it anymore. It's in plain sight. And I think anybody who is not blind can see that they've just accepted that backing of those voting blocks.
Yeah.
Because they can't win an election without either one of them.
I don't think Republicans can win an election unless they lie, unless they make fake promises, unless they, the dog eating, right? They're eating your cats and dogs. The war is going to be over in 24 hours. It's interesting because the comment he made about the war being over in 24 hours, it reminded me a little bit about when he talked about injecting yourself with disinfectant, if you remember. And then the next day when he knew he effed up big time, he said he was just joking. Now, we know he wasn't joking. He was being serious, and there was nobody in that room that was laughing. Same thing with the ending the war in 24 hours remark. He only said that. He knew he was full of it, but he only said that so that he can pander to get some MAGA voters, right? Some idiots out there who voted for him and believed him. And now when he knows that that's not the case and we're a few months into his administration and the war is still going on, his response is, I was only being sarcastic. But these people are so stupid. They don't care. They just listen to what he says. They believe him when he makes an idiotic statement like that. And then they accept his excuse. I was just joking. Or in this case, I was just being sarcastic. I mean, this is how they are.
Well, and they're very quick to boycott beer brands that were associated with people they didn't agree with. But now that everybody wants to start boycotting Tesla, it's a terrorist act.
Yeah, I brought
the hypocrisy is monumental. It's monumental.
You're 100% correct. It is monumental. Again, if you light a Tesla on fire, which I don't condone, you're a terrorist. Lighting a car on fire makes you a terrorist. But if you beat cops on January 6th, you're a patriot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where the MAGA Republican Party is at today. Let's go to Bill, who's calling out of St. Louis. What's going on, Bill? How's it going, my friend?
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good.
Two things. Number one, the next time the Dems get the number of seats in the House and the Senate to pass something, they need to pass a bill that a felon cannot run for president. A felon can't even join the service. And now we've got one who's the commander-in-chief.
Agree.
Number two, this idiot just had the DOD erase anything about Iwo Jima that mentioned Ira Hayes. He also deleted anything on the DOD webpage that had to do with the Navajo code talkers. Here you have a draft-dodging coward. I'm a Vietnam-era vet. This guy was a draft dodger, and now he's erasing history over a policy that was created 75 years after the fact.
Right. You know, you're right about that. And when Tom Homan was asked about that, MAGA Republicans loved his response. He said, well, we still go for the Constitution, and look at how many years ago that was written up. That was his reasoning behind it. Look, the bottom line is this. I said this almost 8 weeks ago, and I'll say it again today. The Trump administration will break the law whenever they want to, and their excuse will be it's unconstitutional. We don't believe in that law. It's unfair. It's unconstitutional. They are going to break the law whenever they want to, and part of the problem is the Supreme Court, the conservative justices on the Supreme Court giving Donald Trump immunity. He can basically do whatever he wants. This is a guy that's never respected the rule of law ever since he was in high school. So
he doesn't respect anything or anybody
except himself. He only respects the orange makeup, the 8 layers of orange makeup that he puts on every day, the hair transplants he got. He doesn't respect our military. He certainly doesn't respect women. He doesn't respect minorities. He doesn't respect immigrants. He doesn't even respect the women in his own family. Okay, so his behavior proves that every single day. Thank you for the call, my friend. Good to hear from you, and I appreciate you. Reminder, we're also in the YouTube Super Chat if you want your questions or comments to be heard, and the website pushingthelimits.live, where we sell merchandise up there, and, of course, accept donations and comments there as well. 702-221-7283. Again, that's 702-221-SAVE. I see people in the Super Chat that are saying that they're going to call in, the MAGA supporters, but yet so many of them are cowards, and they can't find it within themselves to use their little Trump orange fingers to dial the number and to call into the show. You know, there's no excuse. It's very rare on this show. We do have 2 phone lines. Well, now we have 1 phone line that's open at 702-221-7283. Go ahead. If you think I'm spewing lies, go ahead and call into the show and tell me why you support Donald Trump. Happy to have a conversation with you. Or you can be a coward and you could just be a keyboard warrior. I think we know what you'll probably do. 702-221-7283. Is the number if you do want to be on the show. 702-221-7283. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. And let's see, who should we go to here? I'm going to let my producer tell me who I'm going through here. Let's go to Beverly. Beverly, I think she's calling from Mississippi. I could be wrong on that. All right. Hi, Beverly. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. How are you? I am calling from Mississippi.
All right. Thanks for calling.
I'm calling, and I want to make a comment. What you just said about the person in the office, I really don't look at him as president, but I'll say he's holding the office. It's true. And I have wondered how any person could vote for this man. Woman, person of color, anybody.
Yeah.
Because he showed who he was in his first term. And all he did was just expounded on that even more. And because he has people in his cabinet already who have been helping him with Project 2025 all while he was out of office, and who he has been able to get in Congress to go along with him while he was out of office by telling them what to vote for and not to vote for. This is why we are where we are. But with his relationship, because you said about Putin and him having conversations, he wants to be like Putin, and he always has. That's why he doesn't respect
So can I ask
anybody.
you? So I agree. I agree with everything
mhm.
you just said. How do you think that conversation went down with Vladimir Putin today? They're saying it was 2 hours. The Kremlin is saying that it was a great conversation, which means it was positive Russia and not positive for America. That's the way I see it.
Right.
How do you think
That's
it went down?
exactly right.
Yeah.
It's not positive for America. And the way he behaved with President Zelensky the other week lets me know, and it should let everybody know, that he has no respect for authority and for those who abide by the law.
Oh,
and
no
the
question.
fact that so many people have died because of the war in Ukraine, and the way he said, he said what he said before he got in office, and he's showing that he intends to do everything that he said, while he was out of office.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wants to retaliate against everyone who was willing to uphold the law, this is why we have the problem we have.
Absolutely.
And I read today where
among many problems, my dear, that we have in this country, I completely agree with you. And I appreciate your call, by the way. And that's how I think it went down in that conversation with Vladimir Putin. I want to thank Pauline, who went on pushingthelimits.live, and she said conventional law is not going to remove him. He's now weaponizing law enforcement against people he doesn't want, similar to martial law. TDS and TFS can only happen to MAGA supporters. I completely agree with you. And Pauline went on pushingthelimits.live and made a donation. Pauline, we appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Chris. Chris is calling, I believe, out of Illinois. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Brian. Hey, I'm calling in regards to Trump's tariffs.
Okay.
And, I read an article in Tom Hartman's website about him using these tariffs for his billionaire friends, and him putting a tariff on something and then them putting put options on what that's going to affect. And then when the tariffs kick in, they cash out on the put options. And then when the stock's going downhill to the limit, the billionaire is buying up the stocks and then him removing the tariffs. So the stock goes back up.
So this is a Ponzi scheme. I completely agree with you. The worst part about this is people like you and me are the ones that are going to be suffering for it, the American consumers. We've gotten nothing from Canada. We've gotten nothing from Mexico. And he's managed to piss off all of our allies, or most of them anyway. It seems like Donald Trump's allies are evil, murderous dictators like Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. And I think this phone call today is going to prove that, my friend. So I think you're absolutely right when it comes to the tariffs. We are going to be the ones suffering for it. And there's a reason why no president in any administration has ever implemented these kinds of tariffs, because they don't work. Thank you, Randall, for your donation. Randall says Trump wants Greenland, so I guess China can say, hold my beer, we taking Taiwan. I don't necessarily disagree with you on that, Randall. I think you're right on that one. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Joseph, who's calling from California. What's up, Joseph?
Yeah, hey, Brian. All right, here's my piece. Hearing all that stuff about Trump and the way he and the Department of Defense are getting rid of everything about code talkers and Tuskegee Airmen goes to show that this is what Trump wants. He wants to get rid of everything that has anything to do with skin color, and he wants to think that all white soldiers are heroes like those Proud Boys on January 6th, despite the fact that they are nothing more but criminals who attack police officers and break it into the Capitol and threatening to murder anybody who's in Congress.
I think you're right about that. The thing that we need to call out, Joe, in my personal opinion, is the hypocrisy, to shut them down. Nobody would support violence, and nobody would support lighting Tesla vehicles on fire. No reasonable person would support that, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. But if they're going to call somebody a domestic terrorist for lighting a car on fire, but they're going to call somebody who beats cops patriots, then they need to shut their mouths. They have zero credibility. And then Donald Trump uses the White House for a car telethon of Teslas, which is so beyond inappropriate. It's so absurd. It's so ridiculous, but that's what they do. That's what these people do. That's who they are, and that's what they do, right?
I agree, because this is what Trump wants. He wants to see Elon Musk do whatever he pleases by sending out more Teslas, despite the fact that those are very flawed because the batteries may explode. But he doesn't care if people die in car explosions in case anything happens to their Teslas.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine what they're going to say to those customers? Even the family members of those customers, they're going to say the same thing, thoughts and prayers, and it's their fault for buying them.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers. Here's the difference. If your car exploded, if you're the owner of a dealership, or if you're someone who owned the vehicle, here's the thing, right? You have insurance. You'll get your car paid for. You can buy another one. The police officers, some of whom were beaten with their own batons on January 6th, some of them have traumatic brain injury, okay? They're going to have to live with those injuries the rest of their life, okay? The Sitnik family, they lost Brian Sitnik, okay? He's not coming back. There were a couple officers that committed suicide. They're not coming back, sadly, okay? Even Ashley Babbitt, and even though I believe she deserved what happened to her because she was so stupid and brainwashed and she should have never been there doing what she was doing, I have no ill will towards the Babbitt family. They lost a loved one, and they're suffering as well. So there is no difference between, there is no comparison between somebody lighting a Tesla car on fire with nobody in it and what took place on January 6th and those who beat cops. There is no comparison. So if these idiots, and that's what they are, they're idiots, if they want to call you a domestic terrorist for lighting a car on fire, but some sort of hero for beating cops on January 6th, then you are an idiot, and I hope all of those people are deported. I really do. That's how I feel.
That's my guess, too, because that's what Trump wants. He doesn't care if like those stories about the deporting to Venezuela. I mean, goes to show that this is what Trump wants. He wants to continue Hitler's plan of deporting those with different skin colors to anywhere from Venezuela to Guantanamo Bay. And it's going to make ordinary people, including those who lost their loved ones, who went there to deal with it. I mean, can you imagine what happens to those prisoners in those camps?
Oh, it's horrible.
They're going to say the same thing, like thoughts and prayers to those. They deserved it and all that other stuff. I mean, they're thinking they're patriots, but they're not patriots.
Can I ask you something before I let you go? Do you think I'm wrong by making this point that I'm about to make? All of the mass shootings in this country. Let's take a school shooting. Let's take Parkland, for example. A bunch of innocent teenagers who lost their lives, who did nothing wrong that day. They just woke up and they went to school. And so many of them lost their lives. And so many MAGA Republicans in the hours and days after that, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. But yet after somebody lights a Tesla on fire, and immediately they call them domestic terrorists. Am I wrong? I mean, what are we doing here with these idiots? These are people that are actually in office. These are elected officials. They're scum of the earth. I would say to them, what would you say to somebody who shoots a bunch of innocent kids? More guns make us safer? I haven't heard you call any of those people domestic terrorists. What about the white supremacist who went into a Texas El Paso Walmart and killed a bunch of people because they were brown? Did you hear MAGA Republicans calling that person a domestic terrorist? No. But if you light a Tesla on fire, you're a domestic terrorist, right? If you're a drag queen, the sky is falling. I mean, that's who these people are.
That's the problem with these people. I mean, that all they ever give out is thoughts and prayers. I mean, the only time they're going to say thoughts and prayers to the family members of those school shooting victims, they're probably going to stay right outside their lounge chairs in their brand new swimming pools, or anywhere from their beachfront condos. And doesn't matter if they're in the Bahamas or Caymans.
Yeah, you're right, my friend. Joe, it's good to hear from you. I appreciate your phone call, my friend. Thank you. Again, I don't know where my MAGA Republican friends are. Some of them are I say the friend very loosely, by the way. But, you got a lot of the Twitter warriors and the people on social media that'll call me a liar. I mean, they call me all different names in the book. And I laugh at it because I think it's funny and they help my engagement. I mean, some of the conspiracy theories by some of these crazy lunatics who hate me are, I try to laugh at it because I just think some of these people are so pathetic. We'll get to this a little bit later, but I do have some people that are claiming that I was kicked off of the Occupy Democrats network when I'm on 3 of their networks on their Facebook pages right now. including Proud Democrats and others. Yes, Occupy owns those. I'm on those platforms. I'm on the Occupy Democrats X platform right now. And as I've said before, and I've said again, they are having major issues with their own personal Facebook page. I wasn't kicked off of anything, but I laugh at these people because they're pathetic and they're lonely and they're conspiracy theorists, and they hate me because I tell the truth every day. And some people don't like that very much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Thank you, Kathy, by the way, for your donation. Randall says, Brian, thoughts on Justice Roberts' findings, his balls at least for a moment. Well, Randall, thank you for your donation. I did comment on that, and I put out a video on social media about that. Chief Justice Roberts does not deserve any congratulatory honors at all. And the reason why I say that is because he's one of the people that voted for immunity for Donald Trump. So he's part of the problem. Kathy, thank you for your very charitable donation. Kathy donated $19.99. Says, according to Russia media, the caveat for a ceasefire is for the Western countries to halt all intelligence and aid to Ukraine and for sanctions lifted along with $1.5 billion in frozen assets. NATO will not cave in. I'm sorry, but I can't imagine that's going to happen. And if and when they decide not to do this, Donald Trump will be blaming Vladimir Zelensky. That's what the plan was all along. But he's going to end the war in 24 hours, right? 702-221-7283. That number is for my MAGA pals as well. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin is calling out of North Carolina. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Hey, good, thanks. What's on your mind?
First of all, thanks for what you're doing, because I think it's really important. And it needs, I thank all the people that do what you do, because it's going to take a lot to fight back at these people. We're experiencing fascism right now, and it's just it's incredible. I mean, and the people as far as the people on the right, these MAGA people, I mean, I used to argue with them so often. They don't have facts. They watch Fox News, and that's the problem. They stay in the Fox bubble, and they say, "Oh, I voted for Trump because of the price of eggs and chicken," and I couldn't believe how many people I asked. I said, "Well, you know why that the prices are the way they are?" And so often they didn't even know there was a bird flu. And, the price of eggs, the situation with that, I mean, they go hand in hand, and it's just incredible. And that's the world they live in. I don't even know what the answer to that is,
Yeah, I don't know either. I think it goes back to what I always say. So many of these people in Donald Trump's base, the people where he said I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'll still support me. So many of these people are so brainwashed. They're so ill-informed. So many of them are uneducated. Yeah. And they're gone. Yes. They're brainwashed, and they're gone. And there's really nothing we can do with these people except call them special and move on. I mean, there's really nothing else we can do. I mean, they're so lost.
I try. Sometimes I give up because they have their own facts. Like Kellyanne Conway, she has alternate facts.
Right.
And
right.
I mean, I don't know how do you deal with that?
Well, Caroline Leavitt is the same way. They literally lied the other day when they said all the planes were in the air when they were getting rid of these alleged gang members. That's another thing, right? First of all, one of the planes was still grounded. And number two, are we supposed to just take their word for it? None of these people had due process. Listen, if they're criminals and they're violent criminals, go ahead and deport them. But are we just supposed to go by the White House claiming that they are, and their only evidence of it is because they had certain tattoos? These people had no due process. They were put on a plane, treated like animals. And if there's no evidence that they don't have real evidence that they were gang members, then this is a serious crime that the White House has committed here.
Yeah, sure. It's like it's so hypocritical with so many things. It's like calling these these immigrants that they're rapists, and then he has what's his name? Conor
McGregor is an adjudicated rapist. He just lost that case a few months ago. The case, the specifics of the case are despicable. People over there in Ireland can't stand him. Why is it that Donald Trump invites these people? Because he is very similar to Donald Trump. They are both liable sexual abusers who have treated women terrible their entire lives. Conor McGregor is a piece of human scum, and these are the kinds of people that Donald Trump invites to the White House, just like at Mar-a-Lago when he invited Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, if you remember, to dinner at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump, you are who you hang out with, and that's the way it is. Thank you for the call, sir. We also want to thank Tina. Tina on the YouTube Super Chat with a donation says, Trump keeps doing things that defy imagination, like scrubbing clean Arlington National Cemetery website of all people of color. Disgusting. Well, Tina, you're right. That's the way these people think. They don't want Black History Month. They attack Martin Luther King. They certainly don't want to talk about our past and history and slavery. It's why they want to ban all these books. They keep on talking about critical race theory. They're liars. Tracy says ISIS detained Jeanette Vizguera. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know who that is. I'll have to look that up, Tracy, but I appreciate your support. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kava. Kava is next up on PTL. Hello, Kava.
Hello, Brian. How are you doing today?
Good, thanks, Kava. What's on your mind?
So I want to address something that you were just talking about with the whole deportation situation.
Sure.
So does Donald Trump not understand that immigration is what's bringing in billions of dollars into the American economy, and the fact that a lot of these immigrants like myself who come here are here to play sports or are here to help our families build a life for ourselves, and it's bringing money to the economy. No one is getting hurt. Like, what part of this is Donald Trump not getting? What part of these people are good people is he not getting? Because he seems to only care about the YT population.
Well, Kava, let me just say this, okay? I don't think it's that Donald Trump isn't getting something. I think it's that this is Donald Trump's agenda. Make America white again. He wants as many brown people deported in this country as possible. And I think if he had it his way, he would also deport legal people that are brown. He knows it's illegal to do so. Otherwise, he would do it. Donald Trump has an agenda, and it's an agenda of the far right evangelical right base. And if you don't kiss his ring and kiss his feet, he's going to out you from office. If you don't kiss his ring and kiss his feet, he'll try to get you fired, even jailed at your job in the media. He is a wannabe dictator. He has kissed the ring of Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. He's going to continue to do so. The world is on fire. The country is on fire in a bad way. Mm-hmm. So I think he's implementing and he's doing exactly what he wants to do.
And he doesn't understand that these people are not bad. I mean, his own side is the one that stormed the Capitol. His side is the one who went after Barack Obama for his birth certificate.
Yeah.
So who's the crazy one?
Well, I think that's pretty obvious, and I appreciate the call, Kava. I think that's pretty obvious. Donald Trump is somebody who believes it's okay to beat a police officer so long as it's for me, as long as you're supporting me. But if you light a Tesla vehicle on fire, let's give you the electric chair. That's who so many of these MAGA supporters are, and so many of them are cowards, and they prove that on this show every day because occasionally they'll call into this show. I had a guy who called into this show yesterday who was abundantly racist, an open racist, who said he didn't like black people calling into this show because they were stuttering, when in fact he was stuttering. And some of the most intelligent people in society and some of the most educated people in society happen to be black women. And 94% of black women did not vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump does not like powerful women, especially powerful black women, and he proves that time and time again. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to the MAGA destroyer, Darlene. Darlene, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. Hey, America. Now, listen. First of all, you little MAGA poops, you guys are too chicken to call Brian. I dare any of y'all to call Brian.
It's true.
But what I really want to talk about, Brian, is the big poop, Mr. Orange Turd himself.
Okay.
My heart goes out to everybody that died in the tornadoes and the fires. And I'm saying this from my state.
Yep.
I had to leave Brian's show Friday because we had to evacuate. Friday, we had 143 fires in Oklahoma. We had 4 people died. Roofs were being ripped off from 83-mile-an-hour winds. And we had 2 major pileups on the interstate. And that fool is out golfing and don't give a damn about anybody. What is up with that, people?
I'm so sorry that you've had to go through that. But keep in mind, though, when you were going through all that, Donald Trump did win the golf championship. So just remember, he did play.
He's lying. Brian, wait. My husband and I saw a show on him. When he was younger, he would make tournaments and act like he was in tournaments, but he was the only one in them, and then he would say he'd won. Now, they had that on tape.
Yeah. Well, here's the bottom line, and this is what we're just going to have to get used to for the next 3.5 years. We're going to have horrible natural disasters, Darlene, and I'm sorry what you and your friends and your neighbors have had to go through. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. And when we have these things that happen over the course of the next 3.5 years, instead of being the president of the United States, he's going to be out there on the golf course playing golf, walking around his fat ass in his cart, And he's going to be doing the things that he wants to do. He's not going to be working for the people, even many of the people that voted for him. We've seen this time and time again, and we're going to continue to see this over the course of the next 3.5 years. It's a big, we're all going to have to get used to it. It doesn't mean we can't call it out every single day, but this guy's not changing. Okay, Donald Trump's not going to change his ways. This is who he is, and this is what he's going to be doing.
I understand.
Yeah. Well, Darlene, I appreciate you, and I appreciate hearing from you and your phone calls always.
I love y'all guys. I love y'all.
Love you too,
Bye.
Darlene. Love you right back. I always appreciate it. Number to call, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. That's 702-221-SAVE. My thanks to Duke, who made a very charitable donation, who says, maggots always say that Trump is a great negotiator. He is not. Great negotiators believe in win-win. Trump only believes in win-loss. Well, I agree. And I was having a conversation like this with some MAGA supporters yesterday. And one lady that I was speaking to who voted for Donald Trump said, well, Donald Trump did a great job when he was president the first time around. And my response to that was, when we were getting out of, or I should say when Trump was getting out of office for the first time, we were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day from COVID. We had the highest unemployment numbers we had ever had in my lifetime. So many people lost their businesses. So many people, millions of people lost their lives. And it's interesting how some of these MAGA Republicans have Alzheimer's and they're in the bunker and they just forget where this country was actually at not that long ago when Donald Trump left office. Now, I'm not saying we're going to have another global pandemic. At least I hope not. But I really feel like our economy is going to be put in a very similar situation by the time Donald Trump leaves office in a little over 3.5 years. But these MAGA Republicans will still blame Democrats. They'll blame Joe Biden. They'll blame Barack Obama. They'll blame it on DEI hires. They'll blame it on transgenders. Now, I wasn't in the room, and I don't know how this phone call went for sure with Vladimir Putin, but here's what I will tell you. I will tell you that when the Kremlin is saying it was a great call, it goes to show you what happened in this call, in my opinion, is exactly what I thought would happen. Donald Trump is going to kiss the ring of Vladimir Putin. He's going to do and say what Putin wants him to do and say. Vladimir Zelensky will not agree to the demands of this ceasefire. And when that doesn't happen, Donald Trump will blame it on Zelensky. That's exactly the way that this is going to go down. That's the way I see it going down. And as we learn a little bit more about this phone call, I think that's exactly what happened. And I think that's exactly what will happen when Zelensky gets word of what took place in this phone call. Again, number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. It's 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-7283. Why don't we go to Washington, D.C., and let's go to LeVar, who's calling out of Washington, D.C. Hello, LeVar.
How are you doing, Brian, my man? How you doing, man?
Doing good,
to
LeVar.
hear from you.
Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind, LeVar?
So the other day, B, I heard that some guy called in and basically said I'm a moron because I'm black. And he basically was telling me how much we didn't know. First of all, it's a guy named Adolf. Where his name should be a dummy. But for Adolf, real quick, Brian, I wanted to let him know, since he wanted to talk about the inferiority complexes of black people.
Yeah.
Does he know that G.T. Sampson made the clothes dryer? Walter Salmons made the hairdressing device? Roller coasters were designed by Granville T. Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Electric railway system, Granville T. Woods. The first mop, T.W. Stewart. Cattle roping apparatuses by Darrell Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Stair climbing wheelchair by Rufus J. Weaver.
Yeah.
Pressure cooker, Maurice W. Lee. Let's not forget about the gas mask.
Yep.
By Garrett Morgan. The traffic signal, Garrett Morgan.
And we can go down the list of so many great inventions and what black people have done as a whole for society, and I'm with you 150%. But you see, when you're somebody like the guy Adolf who called in, who obviously is a Donald Trump supporter, and if you only live your life through your own lens of bigotry and hatred, then you're not going to look up this stuff, and you're going to assume in an ignorant way that if people don't look like you, they're not contributing to society. It's very difficult to talk to these people. And it's very difficult for me to talk to these people without insulting them and calling them what they are. But at the same time, we have to continue to do it. This is what we are fighting. And as I've said before, and I will say again, it's not that there are more racists in the United States of America. It's that there are more people that are willing to be public about it because of Donald Trump.
Amen. That is absolutely the truth. I'm trying not to stutter, so he said all we do is stutter. He said all we do is stutter. Wow, he was stuttering and stammering like a moron.
That's true.
But Brian, I wish as we get on to what's going on now, Brian, I wish that Chuck Schumer had some guts so we wouldn't have to band together and have to do this on our own. But the good thing is I like what Chuck Schumer did and those other 10 Democrats, and let me tell you why. I like it when you expose who you are. That way we know exactly who to vote out. We know exactly who to get rid of. Here in Washington, we had the veterans protest last week where the veterans were down here giving them the business, and Elon and them scurried like roaches running around trying to get away from the pressure. Good people like Brian and good people that listen to Brian, hear me out. Put pressure on these people. Let them understand that they are not allowed to play with our livelihood. They are not allowed to take away our freedoms, and we will fight them back at every point that they try to hit us at. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you fighting a good fight.
I appreciate you as well, my friend. Great phone call. Very well said. And we have to continue to call out these people for who they are. I try to do that to the best of my ability on this show every day, and that's not going to change. Listen, we are going to hear more about this phone call in the coming days, weeks, maybe even months. I don't expect the White House to be honest. And I don't expect the White House to be forthcoming. However, Vladimir Zelensky is going to have to know the truth. And he's going to find out what Vladimir Putin's demands are. And it's going to become public. And I'm sure Donald Trump, abided with everything that Putin said in this phone call. But any information that we have, we will absolutely and positively share it with you on the show tomorrow. I think we're planning on having Ron Filipowski from Midas Touch join us, by the way, on the show tomorrow. And I have a couple other requests out there and trying to get Ocasio-Cortez and or Bernie Sanders to come on the show later in the week. They're going to be coming to Las Vegas on Thursday. Unfortunately, the rally that they are holding is in the middle of my show. And I've told some people, maybe I could ask the people, should I take the day off and should we have a fill-in host so that I can go to the event? I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that, but at the same time, I certainly want to know what they have to say. They are coming here to Las Vegas as an anti-oligarchy rally that they are holding, which I think is great. Ocasio-Cortez, she might be a little bit further to the left than where my politics are at, but I do certainly admire her and respect her a lot. And listen, I think Bernie Sanders is a good man. I think Bernie Sanders is a really good man. So I haven't decided yet. I'll probably decide tomorrow whether I'll be attending the event or not. And obviously, if I attend the event, then will have a fill-in host come into the show on Thursday. But we'll see. We'll kind of see how that one plays out. So I do want to thank our sponsors, including Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Great promotions there. The official gaming bar of the PTL radio show. Great food, great atmosphere. Boy, did I have a great lunch there the other day. And here's the best part about Jackson's is that they have great promotions for you, where if you go in there and you're playing a machine during a Vegas Golden Knights game, you'll have a chance to win up to $500 in free play. It's called the Pass the Puck contest. Check them out. Tell them that I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. I also ask all of you to please check out my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, I get emails from people every day that ask me about that. And I say, well, the best thing you can do, go to the website, subscribe to my YouTube page, which is free. Please be interactive on there. And I ask people in the live right now, give me the thumbs up, give me the comments in there, and be interactive. The more interactive you are, the more thumbs up you're giving me, the better it is for us. We want you to be interactive on there. And we also sell merchandise on there, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it, on pushingthelimits.live. And it doesn't matter what you can afford, $5, $10, $20 a month. whatever donation that you can afford on there, we greatly appreciate it. It helps us keep the lights on here and keep up doing what we're doing every day. So we appreciate all you guys on the YouTube Super Chat that have made donations, the people that have gone onto my website today. We appreciate you very much. And for the people out there, and again, I try not to pay much attention to it. Sometimes on occasion, I'll get a friend that'll send me a tweet or something. Hey, this person said you were kicked off of Occupy Democrats. I laugh because I think it's kind of funny because these people are so stupid. I haven't been kicked off of Occupy Democrats. In fact, to the contrary. On their specific Facebook page, we've been having technical issues with them through the stream. They're working on it. But I can tell you they own multiple other entities, including Proud Democrats and other Facebook organizations where we are still on there, which is great. And of course, we were also today back up on the Occupy Democrats Twitter account as well. So they're working on that, and I'll be back up there very, very soon. But appreciate all you guys. We'll be back at it, same time, same place. We're going to take a little bit of a 22-hour break, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
It's time to wake up and win.
Time now for the Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie?